What's up, everybody? Did you know that wealth and generational wealth could fail? Well, if you didn't, in this short video, I'm going to show you how wealthy people lose everything that they worked so hard to build. I remember when I was working for a financial firm, and this financial firm was very interesting because I had never had any type of um, financial experience. I didn't have any community about finances. I didn't have anything, any background outside of working in the banking industry about how I was supposed to help wealthy people sustain their resources. It just didn't make sense to me. And so, what was interesting was the fact that I learned the different phases of wealth that people embark upon in order to create it, sustain it, multiply it, and also distribute it when the time comes. And so I've discovered that wealth has the potential to fail. And it's not failing because you did something wrong or because you didn't have the right things or that you didn't make the money that you were supposed to make. Wealth fails because of poor planning. And poor planning is not just, oh, I'm going to put my money in a specific place. It's knowing why where you put your money is going to actually be beneficial for you and your family. So what I've discovered is as time progresses, as you begin to grow older and mature, wealth has the potential to decrease and or devalue if you don't have the right things in place. If you are not systematically building out your financial future, you are going to run the risk of losing everything that you worked so hard for. Let me give you an example. If you've ever seen people um, be in any type of lawsuit, and this lawsuit, let's just say it's a car accident, but the person who's in the lawsuit, the defendant and or the plaintiff, the defendant is the person who is at fault. The plaintiff is the one who is waging war or wanting to have some type of litigation, right? So the defendant is at fault here. The defendant has killed somebody in a car accident. And as a result, this defendant now owes this person $3 million. Now, you may think, okay, well, they may have insurance. Well, do they? Because most people statistically only have liability insurance. The insurance that they have does not qualify or it is not sufficient enough for the litigation to be settled in a lawsuit. So now a person runs the risk of losing all of the assets that they have. That's called poor planning. So in my journey in the financial industry, one of the things that I realized is people don't consider the possibility of loss. And when people don't consider the possibility of loss, they plan as if everything in their life is going to be perfect. Well, what I've discovered in dealing with family and seeing certain things is life does not pan out the way it always seems, almost never. So it's better to be prepared and to plan to fail or plan to lose than to plan to succeed. Because if I plan to fail, I plan better. Because planning to fail, it looks something like this. I know that there is a possibility that I could get into a car accident. So instead of me not getting insurance at all, I'm going to make sure that I get insurance to, what's the word, circumvent me having to come out of my own pocket and or losing my own assets in the event I am at fault in an accident. You will lose your assets if you are not careful. Yeah, the audience is looking at me crazy for saying that, but you will. You will lose your assets if you are not if you're not careful in planning properly. Now, I say all this to say people have the tendency to plan exclusively for success instead of planning in the event that failure comes. Do you know why people get insurance? They get insurance to transfer the risk to a greater entity that has more than them. So if I buy an insurance policy that's worth $3 million, in the event of my death, I now can transfer this lump sum of cash to a beneficiary. Now, when I'm speaking with a lot of individuals, and it's sometimes the wealthiest people, they're like, well, why would I want to do that? Well, the reason why you want to do that is because you want to leave a legacy. So this video or this audio, if you're watching or listening, wherever you are, this is not for the people who are not legacy minded. This video is only for the people who are considering other people who will follow them. Now, I want you all to consider this. Don't just plan to succeed. Plan in the mind of failure as well. Because when I plan with failure in mind, I plan better. Now, one of the things that we discovered in financial planning or the financial services industry is there are specific things that keep a person from being able to progress in their wealth journey. Okay? Now, there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. Being rich is having and accessing a lot of money, and that's perfect. That's great. You need to do that. But being wealthy is knowing how to keep the money and transfer it throughout time and generations. Let me give you an example. Some of you may have heard of the Rockefellers. You may have heard of uh, the the uh, um, the Walmart family, the Walton family specifically, uh, J.P. Morgan and Chase. Some of these very wealthy families. We don't call them rich families for that reason, because we know them as wealthy because we know that their legacy has lasted throughout time. While they have acquired riches, that's phenomenal. But what we know them as is the wealthiest families because their wealth has persisted throughout time. So, yes, you need to get rich. I need to get rich. Everybody should want to get rich. But it's not enough to get rich. We need to also accumulate and develop wealth. Now, when we're considering developing wealth, we need to consider that there are and will always be external things that would desire to destroy your wealth. I want you to understand that right now. There are things in your life that are designed to make sure you do not progress in your wealth experience. Let me give you an example. Number one, ignorance. Ignorance is one of the major reasons why generational wealth fails. Because if you don't know what to do, you will have no insight of how to prepare. If you don't know what systems to put in place, you will have no idea of what I should do with what I receive. So you run the risk in the eyes of ignorance of losing everything that you work so hard to create because you don't know what to do with what you have, right? So this is where when we talk about ignorance is it's just a matter of I don't know. Being ignorant is not a negative term, but it can have negative outcomes. If you're ignorant to money, you will lose it because anything that you do not know anything about, you will always be an enemy of. I hope that's making sense to you. So if I don't know that it is possible to transfer wealth and develop systems in my financial journey and world that have the potential to, in the event of an accident, loss, whatever, if I don't know that there are systems that I can put my money into that can be transferred throughout generations, then I'm not going to do that. So now, if I get sick or there's an accident, I run the risk of inheriting all of the responsibility, the financial responsibility, instead of converting it and putting it onto something that's greater than me. I just gave you a principle about insurance, which is why a lot of people should have it, right? Now, the second thing we want to consider as the reason why generational wealth fails, is taxes. Now, if you don't know who I am by now, my name is JaQuan X Gamble, and my company specializes in helping people develop tax efficient strategies that will help them stay wealthy throughout time. Right? That's me. So, my responsibility is to make sure that as your money increases, your tax bill does not. I hope I'm clear. Because the more money you make, the more tax problems you create. You know how I think it was Notorious B.I.G. He would say more money, more problems. And that is true to an extent. But the reality is, the more money that you make, the more tax problems you create because the IRS desires to have your money. Not because they desire to have your money, but because you don't know what's in the tax code that you can use to your advantage. The reason why people overpay in taxes is because they are ignorant to the strategies that they could implement in order for them to not pay it. So if you don't know about the Augusta rule, if you don't know about cost segregations, if you don't know about the real estate professional statuses, if you don't know about bonus appreciation, then guess what? You are not going to be able to leverage it to your advantage, and thus you will overpay in taxes. So if I'm overpaying in taxes, if I make $1 million, I'm giving half of it to the government if I'm not strategized properly. If I make 100K, half of it is going to Uncle Sam. So as I increase, my wealth experience is decreasing because I have no way of putting my money to work for me. Because a wealth principle is this: when I accumulate resources, I need to put my resources to work so that they can work for me. Why? Because money that is dormant is money that is dying. If your dollars are not in rotation and or in mobility, then you are going to be a person that is always subjected to taxes, liabilities, probate, all these other different things. I hope I'm clear to you. Now I'm going to get more into the depth of taxes, but I want to kind of go even further and give you like a few more potential pressures to wealth. Number 3, sicknesses. If you get sick, you may have to pay somebody with your assets. Um, if you have to go into like a nursing home, right? And your insurance only covers up to a certain extent or a certain limit, they will, with some places in some regions and states and counties, will pull resources out of your not estate, but your property in order to pay for your care. So by the time you're transitioned, they own it. I've seen it, right? So how do I safeguard myself from those types of experiences? I have to have some type of long-term care type of insurance. Now, let's keep going. You got sickness, you have even death. I did not tell you that you also have creditors and probate, lawsuits. These are all pressures to your wealth. Now, when we talk about these pressures, what we have to understand is there is someone after your resources. Somebody wants your money. Somebody. There's somebody who is coming after you for your dollars. Your dollars are subjected to all kinds of scrutiny because the goal is for the economy to stay stimulated. So the government has set up systems to make those things a reality. So if I want to be somebody who is not failing my generations, I need to consider that there are things in my financial world I need to adjust. Because it's not, and this is also why I don't necessarily say the word financial planning. Because financial planning, it's to me is kind of limited. It does not talk about the entire financial or economic world. When we talk about your economic world, we're talking about the things that not only are connected to your supply and demand, but also your livelihood. Because the economic system is about livelihood and not just finances and resources, right? So when we talk about wealth planning, we have to consider, okay, yes, I may have money, but I also have children, and that is also a form of wealth. I might have children, but I also have a spouse. That is a form of wealth. What if I have an ex? My ex could be entitled to some of my resources. That could be a pressure to your wealth, right? What if I have outstanding liabilities? Those all can be related to diminishing my wealth experience. I hope I'm clear to you. So ask yourself a question right now. If you're an entrepreneur, if you are an investor, if I die today, what will happen to everything that I've built? If you are an investor, a business owner, an entrepreneur, ask yourself the hard question today. If I get sick or if I die, will my descendants or the people that come after me, will they be responsible for my debt? Will they be responsible for my medical bills? Will they be responsible for my death and burial? Will they be responsible for the liabilities that I have accrued over time? Or have I set up the proper systems in order for that to not be a reality for them? Because let's talk about this. We've seen time and time again how some of the most famous, the wealthiest people that we know, the Michael Jacksons, the Aretha Franklins, the Whitney Houstons, all these greats, when it was time for the conversation about money to happen, it was all kinds of war because there was no clarity in what the generational wealth transfer should look like. Now, I'm at some point in these videos and audios and podcasts and all that stuff, you will have some strategy. I can't give you specific advice. You have to go talk to your financial advisor. but I can give you a framework that has been commonly used in order for you not to fail like some of them did. Okay? Now, we've seen these people who have made a lot of money. We've seen these people who have prospered, seemingly prospered. However, they did not plan for failure. Now, when we talk about failure, we're talking about the things that have the potential to reduce their wealth experience. Okay? So, in the event that something bad happens, they didn't plan for it. Your children should not be in the air or in the dark about where your money is. Your spouse, your business partners, there should be a clarity that is uh, um, communicated, whether it be through wills, conversations, investment, whatever it is, because here's a problem. No one wants to be overwhelmed with planning for your funeral and also planning for how they're going to live post your funeral. What type of inheritance do you want to leave your children and your family and your business? Huh. So let's talk about the five components of a strong financial plan. And let me not even say that. Let's talk about the five components of a strong wealth strategy. If you're ready, I want you to say to yourself, I'm ready. Number one, the first component of a strong wealth strategy is your financial accumulation strategy. Now, what is that? How do you make money? Now, within the financial accumulation, it's making money, it's managing money, it's multiplying money, and it's also moving money so that the money can move for you. Okay? So, in this financial accumulation strategy, or FAS, you are considering how do you generate resources. There is only literally three ways that people make money. You either actively make money, passively make money, or your money is making money for you. Okay? So in the active portion, you either work a job, own a job, or you own a business. In the passive, you own assets that pay you. And in the portfolio, it's not even owning other assets. It's you are an investor in other places that pay you, right? So those specific types need to be a conversation, and it also needs to be a formed in your plan. And here's another thing that you want to consider. In your accumulation, are you going to be doing this for the rest of your life? Here's what I've come to discover. People build businesses off of the strength of them and not off of the strength of automation, human capital, and everything else. So, what happens is let's just say a person gets sick. The money flow stops because the main face of the business has transitioned or they have gotten sick or whatever. So now there's a compromise in the accumulation of finances because no one is able to do what the main face can do. Then what happens when the resources are decreasing? Everybody who works for them and everyone who benefits from their face or from their presence is now affected and or infected. So when you are thinking about the financial accumulations strategy, you want to consider, okay, I might be actively making money, but how can I take the money that I'm making and put it in places that can make me the same amount of money throughout retirement and my death? What did I tell you earlier? I help people become and stay wealthy throughout time. This is why the conversation that I have with people is always, what do you do, or what's going to happen when you die? What's going to happen when you get sick? So, and this is interesting also in talking to younger people, and I'm a younger person technically, but I've been around a little bit of time. They say, well, I'm just going to work. Well, what happens if you can't? What systems do you have in place in the event that you can't work? Right? What are you building that doesn't require you to be present? That's a question you need to ask yourself. You work to a place where at some point you can stop working the way you've been working, work from a higher dimension. I hope that's clear. So the first component of a strong wealth strategy is financial accumulation. Now, the next part or the next component is asset protection. Earlier, we were talking about sickness, death, accidents, all those things. There is a system called insurance that people who are wealthy utilize in order to preserve their assets or protect their assets. What does that look like? Asset protection is the insurance that you need that covers you in the event of loss. Now, you may say, well, I'm too young to have insurance. No, you're not. If you are alive, the greatest asset that you have, hear me, the greatest asset that you have is your ability to generate an income. So when I'm thinking about life insurance, just for me personally, this is me personally, I'm thinking about what is my human life value or total life value? If I make 100K every year and I'm almost 30, so let's just say the average man lives till 80. I need to have 50 times, technically, 50 times that amount in life insurance in order to best serve my family. So what is that? That's $5 million of insurance. What does that do? That preserves my wife and children to not have to worry about being in a financial deficit upon, God forbid, I die early. It won't happen, but yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Because you want to consider what is your human life value. See, what people do, I want to get the cheapest and I want to get, that's fine. But they think from right now, and you're not thinking, okay, you also have the potential to make more money in the next 5 years. So in my context, I'm thinking I have one child, and let's just say by the time I'm 35, I have 5 kids. What do I want to leave to each of them that helps aid in proper generational wealth transfer? To where they don't have to get it out of the mud. To where my wife doesn't have to keep working. She likes what she does, of course. But it's not a mandatory need. Like, she don't have to. Right? And also, because we're talking about taxes, when I do the insurance thing, all the income that comes as a result of insurance is not deemed income. It's actually tax-free. So I get all this money, this $5 million of resources, tax-free. Do you know how that would change your family's life? Now, That's called asset protection. This is home insurance. This is health insurance, life insurance, trusts, estates, all that, right? Now, then we get into the wealth preservation. As we are preserving wealth, the wealth preservation aspect is, how do I build something that can that is mitigated against every potential of negative experience or external pressure. So I'm thinking, all right, retirement. And one day I'm gonna do like a retirement plan debunking thing, just for everybody. Wealth preservation is just that, preserving wealth. So you have asset protection, wealth preservation. All right, how do I continue to keep what I already make, or and even the potential of what I have the potential to make, right? Let's just say I have the potential to make $2 million a year in the next 10 years. I'm thinking about it that way, right? Wealth preservation minded people would say, okay, how do I make that, not pay taxes, and also prepare for retirement? Okay. To be preserved is not just thinking about protecting it from uh, uh, um, or protecting it against loss from the perspective of health, sickness. It's also lawsuits, also creditors, also taxes, also old age. Okay. So when we're thinking about preservation, we are considering, okay, I need to think about retirement. I need to think about a tax-free retirement. I need to think about a tax-free, uh, uh, um, I don't know, what's it called? Business buyouts. I need to think about, if I'm gonna sell my business, well, how I'm gonna do that tax-free. I need to think about how I'm gonna sell my properties tax-free. All that is about preservation. But preservation is also connected to the next portion, which is tax optimization. Tax optimization is when we're considering taxes today, active taxes, which is income taxes, taxes for tomorrow, which is retirement taxes or post-work taxes, and then also taxes at death. That's called gift and estate taxes. So in my wealth preservation slash tax optimization portion, I'm considering, what are the strategies that I need to put into place. For example, how do I get a tax-free retirement? Some may say, well, invest in a 401k. Is that tax-free? Some may say, do a Roth IRA. Okay, that's cool. Here's the problem with retirement plans and the way we thought about it from the 1980s. The way we think about retirement is actually a little bit strange, because a lot of people retire with only 60% of their income. So imagine you work 30, 40 years and you only get 60% of your income. Let's just say you make 100K. 60% is $60,000. Who wants to live off of a portion of that? So now we enter into, what other vehicles can I utilize in order to make up the difference so that I can continue my lifestyle even post retirement? Now, as I said, I can't give you specific tax advice, or not tax advice. Well, yes, tax advice, but financial advice. You need to talk to your financial advisor. However, for me, I'm considering, okay, If I want to make the same amount of money in my retirement, I need to develop my business to make money when I don't work. I need retirement. I need a retirement business income stream. I'm not changing businesses. I just need something that can work as time continues. That I don't have to be there in order for it to continue. I need to think about, okay, how about we put our money into real estate? Why? Because real estate is both wealth preservation as well as tax optimization. Because I can put money into real estate and get the passive income, and passive income is not subject to self-employment taxes right now. That way, I also reduce my tax bill because if I'm in real estate, I get depreciation. Oh my goodness, right? So now in my retirement planning, I'm thinking, how in the world am I able to just utilize real estate as my retirement vehicle? Or am I ever going to retire? And or what does retirement look like? Okay. So we have what? Financial accumulation, asset protection, wealth preservation, tax optimization, and the last one, portfolio management. Your portfolio management, which is a part of your wealth strategy, is all of these things working together. So I'm making the money, I'm keeping the money, I'm multiplying the money, I'm moving the money. Now I need to make sure that my portfolio is maintained in order for the money to continue. So, wait, how do I make sure that generational wealth in my family doesn't fail? Number one, I need to make sure that I have a sure financial system. What does my financial system look like? Is it me working hard? Is it me working a business? Is it me working a job? What is it? Is it me investing? That's number one. Number two, I need to make certain that I have the proper insurances and coverages in order to preserve or protect all of my assets. Number three, I need the strategy to preserve my wealth, meaning I need to know what real estate I should invest in, where to invest in, how to use depreciation. I need to know, and then partnering that with tax optimization, them working together. I need to know how my decisions are going to affect me tax wise. Once I do that, then I can manage my portfolio. Then I can expand my portfolio. And then I can buy more businesses, which could be a retirement plan. Then I can be an angel investor, which could be my retirement plan. And then I can set it up in a way where, in the event of my transition, the money goes specifically to a trust. And the trust person, not or the executor of the trust, and or the beneficiary of the trust, um, can benefit from the resources that I create. So now let's bring this home. You are a person right now who has made money. Your number one fight that you're going to fight right now isn't even going to be all those things. The first one is going to be ignorance, but the second one is going to be taxes. You'd be surprised how many people I speak with who are making the money but are getting whooped by the IRS. So if I were you, and I'm not, I'm JaQuan, I would consider, okay, how do I optimize taxes first? Because once I've made the money, if I don't optimize in taxes, I might lose the plot. I might lose everything I worked hard for. There was this client that I had, and what was interesting was they received a bill. Oh my goodness, the bill was crazy. And I said, if you would have met me before, you would have had the strategy to not owe this much. It's easier to plan to fail or plan in the event of failure than to to not plan at all. I know you love the to make money, and that's great, but it doesn't make sense to only make money without considering the opportunity that your money could be lost just like that. And it's not because you are doing anything wrong, it's because life happens. So the goal of creating generational wealth that continues is to make sure that when life happens, you are not affected. I hope that today has caused you to experience another level of insight, and that you are someone who now knows, okay, I need these five components to have a successful wealth strategy. And in doing this, my generational wealth that I create will not fail, and it will continue just like the Rockefellers, just like the Waltons, just like JP Morgan and Chase and them. You don't have to be subject to the world systems. You need to know how to leverage them to your advantage. My name is JaQuan Gamble, and I hope that this hour of wisdom has helped you. I look forward to seeing you soon. Peace.